Hi everyone, Therese here, and I've got some karma cards for you this week. But first, let me let a few people know what I'm up to. There we go. Hi! So let's see, today is February 4th. I have karma cards for this week through the full moon on Sunday. Yeah, we have a full moon coming up on Sunday. And just to talk to you, hi Tracy, good to see you. Just to talk to you about what's going on right now. So number one, we just switched into a new month. Now we're in the month of February. And what I want to know is how many people feel that switch. January felt like it was literally an entire year unto itself. And yet I actually didn't mind it. I felt like I had a lot of space to get things done in January. Now, when February came, I could almost feel like a visceral click happen where time changed. So now we're in February time. Yep. And February, I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about February. February feels like I'm personally experiencing the feeling of delay. Oh, hi, Caitlin. Yay. But you'll notice that there's a distinct difference. So I wanted to look at what is going on energetically. Now, at the beginning of February, we had, and I'm going to butcher this word, it is a Wiccan or pagan celebration that celebrates the change, the introduction of spring. Okay, so we're actually not at the spring equinox yet. And winter solstice was, December 21st, 22nd, right in there. Hi, Christina. Good to see you here. So we're in between. We're literally sitting in between these two major pivotal points in the seasons. We've got the winter solstice and we've got the spring equinox coming up right in April. So right here, we're in the middle of those 2 points. So the feeling of spring is starting to come forward. And it got me thinking about the full moon that's coming up. So the full moon is on Sunday. If you want to join me, I have links to the full moon spirit circle. You'd be more than welcome to join us in celebrating and harnessing the energy of the full moon and the cosmos, see what it's doing. But on Sunday, we have a full moon in Leo. And this is the sign of creativity. And spring is directly connected to creativity. I mean, think about what spring represents, right? It's the renewal process, but it's the beginning of a new creation. And we're at this precipice point right now where we feel the next creation coming up. So my question for you is, are you feeling that in your own life? Are you feeling like a personal feeling of the next thing? The next idea or the next version of you maybe even is coming forward. We tend to, with the cosmos, the way the cosmos is flowing and also the time of year, we have this natural pattern that we follow. And so this is a time of year where people start thinking about, obviously reinvention, but also just that next feeling. And I feel like in 2020, this one is different, and it's different because I'm calling 2020 that year of conscious creation. So we're really not just, it's not on a whim, and it's not all of a sudden, it's more, the energy around it is more concise. There is definitely a plan and strategy, and this is because the year 2020 itself in numerology is a 4 universal year. So when we have the number 4, this is the number of strategy, of building a foundation, of consciously working and creating something with deep intention. And with that energy in place right now, and we're at this point, literally this week, right at this moment, we're in between that full moon coming up, and we're in between these 2 major seasonal shifts. And I think that we can kind of feel that this is that moment right now where maybe nothing's happening yet, but there is definitely, it's like conscious thought of what I'm creating. Who do I want to be? What do I want to say? How do I want to project myself out in the world? Where do I want to spend my energy? And let's see, Caitlin's saying, I feel like I know what I'm doing, or at least in the ballpark. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily like we didn't have a clue before. We definitely do. I feel like now is like, how am I spending my energy? Am I going to give my energy to that? Because I can feel that I need that reserve behind me for this bigger creation that's coming. So I want to talk about where we are. We're on a creative axis right now. Hi, Luann. Good to see you here. We're on a creative axis. So we have the sun in Aquarius, and the full moon will be lining up in Leo. And these are polar opposites, but they're on an axis of creation. And the Leo side of it is more like my personal creativity, how I personally want to express myself. And the Aquarian side of it is visionary creativity. This is how I'm changing the world. All right. So think about how when these two line up, when they come together, you're expressing both. So whenever we're at a full moon, one of the things I love to look at is how, what axis are we lying on, and what does it mean to us? Like, how am I expressing both? So I want you to think about this for a moment. Is what are you doing for yourself to express yourself personally? And we're paying attention to that, more attention. So this is, how am I using my time? What am I giving my attention to? That's the personal aspect. And then the visionary side of it is, how am I bringing this to the world? How am I bringing this to the world to create change? And that's the Aquarian energy that we're in right now. And it can be easy to get overwhelmed by that question, right? Like, how am I changing the world? And then suddenly everything takes on a different weight. But it actually all starts with, what am I giving my attention to, and how am I spending that energy? So they're actually deeply connected. I just wanted to point that out, because when you understand that how you're spending your time, or what you're giving your attention to, directly contributes to how you affect the world, man, do you use it differently, right? You don't waste your time on the stuff that doesn't mean anything to you, because it has no direct impact on what you're going to bring to the world. Hey, Agnes, good to see you here tonight. So think about that. I'll say it one more time for people who just came on. We're looking at the axis of creativity with the full moon in Leo coming up at the end of this week. We're in Aquarius. Leo and Aquarius are polar opposites. Their axis is a creative axis. Now, when we look at the Leo side, this is personal creativity, or what I'm doing, how I'm expressing my creativity in my own life. And then when you take it over to Aquarius, the other end of that spectrum is, how am I giving it to the world? How is this changing the world? Oh, I love it. Yeah. So with that access, that we're at this pivotal in between moment, which is celebrated in pagan cultures as this is an important point. It's not spring yet, but spring is coming. And there's an acknowledgement between what we've let go of and what's about to begin. And so this is that time right now that we're sitting in, where we're really being asked to consciously contemplate what I'm about to build. And the secret is, look at what you're giving your attention to. So we want to think about like what's happening in the external world. How much of our attention is that getting? Is it affecting your creativity? If the external world is supplying negativity right now, is it having a direct impact on your joy? Because creativity and joy are deeply connected. You don't create, how do I want to say this? We only create what we love. Okay, we only create what we love. If you don't love it, you don't create it. Think about that. The third card in the major arcana of the tarot is the Empress, and she's part of the like manifestation trope, and she represents creativity, but she's also connected to love. And love is key in anything you create. And we know that, we kind of know this, and that we don't always consider how, in order to create more or create anything of substance in our lives, love needs to be present. So we want to look at how we're spending our energy Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, I need to hear it too. It keeps the juices flowing, right? When we think about this. But if we see ourselves spending a lot of time on what we don't love or what we don't like or what we hate to see, we're actually not creating anything. So if we want to go into the creative space, we need to go back to what we love. And as soon as we go back into that area that we love, suddenly it's like the wheels are turning, new things are happening, the ideas are coming, the next version, your next personal spring comes from that place. So when I, when I look at social media, I have to laugh because there's so much negativity put out about nothing, literally about nothing, right? So we have to be careful that we don't get sucked into that noise and start contributing thoughts of, yeah, I don't like that either, or that is really bad, or that what a horrible thing, right? Like if we catch ourselves there, we need to like balance it out, pull away and go focus on, what do I love? Well, I love to paint, right? I love to paint, so I'm going to focus my energy there. Or if you love to cook, go focus. If you love to go for a walk and have fresh air, do that. All your creativity, all the next ideas, all the inspiration you're looking for is in what you love. What you love. So with that, I wanted to do the karma cards with you. And these karma cards are geared for today, this midpoint moment between what is past and the next creation, and the full moon coming up in Leo. And again, this whole thought line is all connected because with the full moon in Leo, we are at this heightened point. The full moon always represents a heightened energy. But with this axis, it's the heightened point of creation. So we want to look at what gets in the way of what I'm trying to create, because we are moving into that next step of like, it's going to start coming online, whatever it is. So if you feel like, great, I know, and I'm going to take action now, then you already have the answer. If you don't worry about it. This is the perfect time to contemplate and consider what gets in my way when I'm trying to create like the next version or the next thing in my life, the next magical moment. Oh, yay! Perfect. It's perfectly aligned, Luann. Okay, so let's do karma cards. If you're new to the karma cards, let me explain how these work. I have 3 decks: the planets, signs of the zodiac, and houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team in spirit, what's the message this week? What do we need to focus on? This message goes from today until February 9th, the day of the full moon. And as you can see, I have 2 sets of answers. I have action-related answers in red and outcome-related answers in blue. And all you have to do to play is decide, what do you need right now? Do you need to know what action to take next? Type in red. Or what the next outcome is? Type in blue. And if you want both, you could type in both or purple. That's great. While you're intuiting that for yourself, let me tell you the flavor of this reading. We have the planet Mercury, right? This is a communication planet and a self-expression planet in the sign of Taurus, earthy, beautiful, Venus-driven, love-driven Taurus, in the 3rd house, which is again connected to Mercury, self-expression, communication, how we put our ideas out into the world. So you can already see how even this reading is connected to everything I spoke about before, how it's about your self-expression and your ideas and how you're putting them out in the world, and love is a big part of it. Yay. Okay, so go ahead and type that in. I take a quick sip. I see my team number. Hey, team. All right. So for those who are going to choose red or action, your actions for this week are spiritual action. Communicate your beliefs by making the right connections. And I feel like this first line goes right back to what I was talking about, like, where am I giving my energy, or what am I focusing on, right? So communicate your beliefs by making the right connections. So for me, that means the right connections in this case are, what do you love? Communicate from that, right? We've heard enough from people about what they don't like. Now it's time to focus on what you love and communicate from that. The world wants it, it needs it, it's hungry for it. And people are hungry for it too. I mean, I just want to see a quick show of hands here. How many of you are so tired of seeing the anger and complaining? Like, are you actually hungry to hear how things are going well for people? I know I am. I'm so hungry to like see what's going right for people. Okay, focusing on love. The mental action at this time is to analyze the costs of the idea in question. Okay, so again, with Mercury being a planet of, so Mercury represents the intellect. It's the, Hermes, the messenger. It's quick thinking, the costs of the idea in question. So this might be where you're focusing on, again, this goes back to the fact that it's not necessarily a time of action. It's not a time of you have to do this now. It's a time of thinking about what it would cost you to refocus your energy. I mean, I know I have some beautiful friends and family who are very afraid to look away from what the world is asking us to look at. They're very afraid of that because they feel like somehow it's irresponsible, and that if they look away, that there's somehow the world will fall apart. And I get that feeling. That's a legitimate fear that comes up because we're so hooked into a system of thinking about it. But the world existed before massive news cycles, and it will exist after them. What works, what actually keeps the world going is this creativity cycle. And again, remember what I said, the axis is connected between personal creativity, what I personally want to create for myself. We naturally, from there, focus on how do I change the world? So the world never gets left out. Your responsibility or connection to the world doesn't go away just because you're focusing on what you want to create. In fact, you become more deeply connected. Having a hard time with words today, guys. More deeply connected to what you're putting out in the world because you're sitting with it. So it's asking you to analyze the cost of the idea in question. Think about what it means to not focus on this, as well as what happens when I do. If you actually sit there and think about it, if you actually watch the projection, right? We get to see this, by the way. We get to view, our visualization is like viewing into other dimensions. So we can watch what happens when we continue down a path where we're so concerned with what everybody else is doing and trying to somehow police it from a distance. So we can watch that trajectory, and we can watch the trajectory of where I spend time thinking about what it is I love and how I can create more from there and how that has an impact on the world. We get to view both. So it's asking us to do that right now. Your physical action at this time. Let your mind tell you how to use the most direct way and get your ideas going. Again, not really an actiony action thing. It's really a contemplation time. We're in this moment where, again, the answer is, the most direct way is through love, by the way. So if I change that slightly to let your mind tell you how to go through love and get your ideas going, there's your answer, right? All right, so let's look at outcomes. For those choosing outcome or both, in Mercury, in the sign of Taurus, in the third house of communication and expression, your spiritual outcome at this time, the awareness of resources to maintain your ideas. So this is how, when you go from that place of love and creation, this is how we are this is how we are made in God's image, or this is how we are the universe in action, is when we are coming from love and creation. Love is the energy, creation is the action. So when we are coming from that state, that line of thinking, we are supported by the universe. The universe is going to support us with ideas. It's going to support us with synchronicities, with signs. Things line up and you're like, wow, that lined up easier than I thought. Yeah, because you actually have some assistance coming in because you're aligning to assistance through the actions of love and creation. The mental outcome at this time: many thoughts about or from the practicality of short-term thinking and trips. This is one of those statements where it sounds like gobbledygook until we kind of break it down. Many thoughts about or from the practicality of short-term thinking and trips. I feel like that statement connects back to what I was talking about earlier about how this is a time of conscious creation, and short-term thinking, it's a path you can take. It's like, I just want to move through this next moment, or I just need to get through this. And sometimes it's a legitimate path to take. But I feel like what it's actually talking about here is how it's asking us to go into a strategy and a structure. And we are contemplating consciously what we're about to create, what that looks like. It takes a little bit more mental effort, and it means we're not necessarily jumping into action. We're thinking about it more. We're actually thinking about the ramifications of, if I create this, what am I holding myself responsible to, or what am I putting out in the world? That causes us to sort of slow down. And again, I just keep getting this feeling right now that this is not a time of like things moving yet. I do feel like that's coming, but we're sort of in this moment of like, so it's okay to stay there. And it's appropriate. Your physical outcome at this time: many words resulting from the productivity of who and what is around you. Many words resulting from the productivity of who and what is around you. And I guess this is that same, another way of saying, what are you focusing on? What are you giving your attention to? Because based on those things, that's what's going to either create or impede productivity in your life. So contemplation isn't necessarily passive, especially if it's the planning kind of contemplation, right? Where we are considering the next phase and then we come up with the plan. So what we're looking at right now as we contemplate is, what am I giving my attention and energy to? And when you find that it's gone away from love, from what you love, you simply direct your attention back to that. In your personal life, in the social life, whatever area, see if you're giving your attention to that which you want to create. And if you're not, see if you can redirect that focus. Sometimes it's easier said than done. Sometimes the negative emotions can be very magnetic, and they can kind of like recycle back on themselves, causing us to sort of stay in one place. And this is when we need to figure out how to break the cycle, do things that interrupt thought, or literally move out of that place. One of the best disruptors you can use is simply move. Like, the thought actually has a little bit of particle energy to it. And I like to imagine that the thought has a little bit of like viscous or density. And if I simply move out of the place I'm having that thought, away from it. So if you're inside, go outside, right? If you're standing up, try laying down. Whatever you do, just disrupting where you're having the thought can disrupt the thought, and then allow you to refocus on, actually, what do I want to pay attention to? And try that. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I know this one was late. I just wanted to make sure I got it in today so we had a chance to really take the advice that's coming through and use that energy this week, because again, there's so much to consider right now. So much to consider about love and creation and what's coming next. So if you're just watching this, hey Troop D, if you're just watching this, definitely watch it from the beginning so you can hear how it's all connected. But if you want to go deeper with me in the full moon spirit circle, there is a link that's like above or to the side that'll allow you to join us for the next spirit circle. So for those who are like, what are you talking about? What's a spirit circle? A spirit circle is a virtual ritual where I take you through the energetic blueprint of the cosmos right now, what the cosmos is lining up and doing and asking us to focus on. And then we do exercises together where we focus our energy in that specific direction. There's beautiful meditation. There is a psychic Q&A at the end where you get to ask me your questions and I will give you my psychic answers. And the whole thing, except the Q&A, is recorded for you to keep. So if that sounds exciting to you, check out that link or drop me a message. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And until next time, mwah, love you guys, stay magical, and I will see you very soon. Bye.